Hello and welcome to the 40-Year-Old Vegan, the show that helps you get leaner, cleaner, and greener in the second half of life through plant-based living. 5 years ago, I was a corporate VP working ridiculous hours and eating vegan junk food out of a vending machine. I never had time for anybody because I was working too much. Sound familiar? If so, you're going to want to meet our next guest. She founded a company called New, Nurturing Employee Wellness, and she brings yoga into the corporate environment to help employees get in touch with themselves and learn how to breathe. Please join me in welcoming Nicole Hoprick. Hello,
Hi.
Nicole. Welcome to my kitchen.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I could have used you 5 years ago when I was a stress case and in the corporate world, but I'm so glad you brought this into the world because you've been a yoga teacher and practitioner for many years.
So I was lucky enough to find yoga when I was in my early 20s, just breaking into my career. And I started working long hours, eager to climb the corporate ladder, but not really loving my day-to-day. And so a friend of mine introduced me to yoga and said, hey, come to yoga class and check it out. You'll love it. And I said, okay, great, let's do it. So I went to a hot yoga class.
Oh, I've been to those, yes.
It was an intense first experience.
That's very intense.
Right, so you're looking at yourself in the mirror for 90 minutes, and whoever does that in their lifetime.
Right.
And it was so confronting because you're comparing yourself to other people, you're doing crazy postures, there's no music, and it was very eye-opening for me, right?
Yes.
And so I decided to do it for 14 days straight like they recommend.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was powerful. And at the end, I realized that the most important relationship you have is the one with yourself. And mine was really fractured, right? Raised in an environment where I was taught to be external, not internal, pay attention to what you dress, pay attention to how you speak, pay attention to what degree you get. And I was completely cut off to really how I felt. And yoga introduced me to myself.
That is so amazing because most of us have been raised in that same way. We're thinking about the external and we tend to neglect the internal, and yoga can help bridge that gap.
It really does. It really does.
So great. So what made you then take the next step to bring this into the workplace?
So I thought, as a yoga practitioner and then as a yoga instructor, it really is a service-based calling. And I thought, where can I serve the most people? Where it's needed the most?
Definitely.
Corporations.
Absolutely.
Right? Where it can sometimes be a toxic environment, where you spend the majority of your life, especially your day, in that environment, working with people, sitting at a desk, bad posture, on the computer the whole time, constantly in your head, right? And not really internal at all. And so I wanted to bring those tools back into the workplace, right? And give employees an opportunity to take time away from their desk to really self-care, to get back to their heart space. So when they go back to the desk, they're re-energized, they're focused, they're positive, they're self-confident, and ultimately collaborating in a much healthier environment.
You know, as you explained it, it sounds so common sense that we need that in the workplace. But when you approach companies, are they open to this, or are they still thinking, oh, it's a little out there? What kind of reaction are you getting?
I think it's mixed, right? I think the Googles of the world definitely started the conversation, right?
Yes.
And we're not the first to offer corporate yoga. It's been around for a long time. The misconception is really the word yoga, right? And how it's been advertised to us. It's either in two categories. Either it's focusing on the body that you want, which is all core and all posture and really working up a sweat, or it's the other side, which is, you know, sound healing and meditation and mindfulness. And so it's really two blank canvases, right? And neither canvases work in the corporate setting. So companies really are a bit standoff because of that. And so what we've done, what I've created, is a yoga class that speaks to the corporate environment, right? We're not going to be playing sound bowls and oming. We're not going to break a huge sweat, right? It's a class designed for the workplace mentality. So you come to the mat, you learn how to breathe deeper for an hour, you learn how to manage where the stress is in your body, you learn where you're tense, where you're tight. You take a moment to check in with yourself. And it's powerful, the changes that you can make at work. So what students can participate in when they come to class is really a chance to break away from the office, right? Get out of their minds, get out of their heads, just really enjoy that personal experience with the teacher, with coworkers, and also ultimately with themselves. So they're going to get an opportunity to really let go of stress, let go of fear, let go of anxiety, let go of all the things that are blocking them from being productive at work.
That's amazing. So I imagine that would have a great impact on the culture of the company.
It does, definitely. You know, when people are healthy, they're happy, right? And self-care is one way towards happiness. And yoga provides that.
And then you can look forward to going to work and knowing that you have the tools you need, that when it gets stressful, you know what to do. You have that in your toolkit.
Exactly. And you want to go to work because you believe in the company you work for.
Exactly.
Because they're showing appreciation to you.
Exactly.
Through us.
I love it.
You know, it's like let the executives focus on strategy and ROI and all the heaviness, right? And partner with us and let us focus on the hearts and the appreciation and telling people that they really are cared for and they want to feel better and be better.
I love that companies do need more heart and soul, and you are bringing that in, and I think that's a wonderful service. I wish I had you 5 years ago. Maybe I'd still be working in the corporate world. We're talking about workplace wellness with Nicole Hoprick, and we've got a great recipe. It's called black hummus, and this is perfect for the workplace because you can bring it as a snack. I know I used to get hungry about like 3 o'clock when you start getting the munchies.
And you want sugar.
You want sugar, and instead, if you get something that's loaded with protein, it's going to help keep you feeling full until you go home for dinner. So
and it's easy to make.
It is so easy to make.
It's portable.
It is so portable.
And it's delicious.
And we're going to make this in a NutriBullet. I mean, how easy is that? So Nicole is going to add these ingredients. And actually, you know what? We don't even need this one. We're just
is it the topper?
Cup. This is the topper. Yes.
It's the creative part of it.
Exactly. That's the creative part. So
all right, what's first?
We're going to add some cilantro. We've got already some black beans, a cup of black beans. We rinse them out. Cilantro. And if you're someone who doesn't like cilantro, you can always use flat leaf fresh Italian parsley. And this is to give it some greenery and to give it some freshness. We're also putting in 2 cloves of garlic, which, you know, if you're at the workplace, you just don't want to let everybody have some, so you're all eating garlic and you won't offend anybody.
So you all smell like garlic.
That's right. It works well that way. The next ingredient is cumin, and that's what gives hummus a very distinct flavor. We're also adding something citrusy, a little bit of lemon juice and lime juice, and that's going to bring out a wonderful flavor too.
You gotta do that, right?
You do. You have to lift it and make it fancy. And then we're gonna add some salt, and this is Snowflake brand salt from Mount Cecilia. And we are also adding, instead of oil, and most hummuses use oil, we are adding zucchini. And that's kind of a trick ingredient. And what that does is it will bring in the liquid and the moisture of the oil without the added calories. And because zucchini is kind of a blank slate in terms of flavor, it just takes on the flavor of everything else that's in there. So that's it. And we put it in our NutriBullet. And we just mix. That was pretty easy. And you know, I see a lot of employees bringing their NutriBullets to work too and just having it available. You can make smoothies, you can make dips, and it's so easy. And so I'm just going to pour this in our dish, and we're going to have a taste test.
It looks delicious.
And now comes that fancy part you were talking about.
Fancy part?
You can put like a little sprig of cilantro on there if you really want to make it look special.
Of course. Cooking needs to be fun,
That's right. That's right. And I love cilantro. I just love the fresh taste, but again, the flat leaf parsley is a great substitute. And so we're serving this with some cut pepper slices, and these are great and crunchy and colorful and crisp. So again, it's a nice contrast to that really rich, creamy black hummus. And we're also using some blue corn chips from Cabo Chips. You can check them out at cabochips.com. And what I love about this brand is they have about 4 ingredients. You know, you don't see a ton of ingredients that you can't pronounce. It's just simple ingredients, non-GMO, no trans fat, no additives, no extra flavoring, just good, wholesome food. So when you want that crunch in your snack, you got Cabo Chips. So we're going to taste a little bit of our hummus and see how it goes. It's so yummy. And you're not going to miss the oil at all. So this is a low-fat snack you can feel really good about.
You really taste the cilantro.
You do. It's very, very flavorful.
It's delicious.
It's so good.
It really is.
You can get this recipe at 40yov.com. In fact, you should, because I forgot to put the tahini in. So you can check it out there. It's really good, but tahini is key. And tahini is sesame paste, and it gives it that sort of signature flavor of hummus. But it's great either way. So check it out. And Where can we find Nurturing Employee Wellness if we want more information?
Yes, you can find us on the web at nurturingemployeewellness.com. You can also find us on Facebook at nurturingemployeewellness.com, and then also on Instagram. Now, before we go, I wanted to give you a little token.
Okay.
It's what we stand for, which is self-love.
Right.
It was handmade. It's a little heart pin.
Oh my goodness.
It's something you can wear when you cook, when you're at work, to remind you to take a deep breath, or come back to your heart space, and ultimately love yourself.
I love it.
So I'm going to pin it on you.
And this says so much about being heart smart. I mean, we can talk about it in multiple ways. One is eating right, but other one is loving yourself, taking care of yourself, and nurturing yourself. And that's what Nurturing Employee Wellness is all about. So thank you so much for joining us here today on the 40-Year-Old Vegan. Come back next time, and we'll help you live leaner, cleaner, and greener.
And happier.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello and welcome back to the 40-Year-Old Vegan. Our next recipe is a deli-style tuna salad that is going to taste just like the real thing without the tuna. So the secret to this recipe is the vegan homemade mayonnaise. It's got just a few ingredients, but it is the best mayonnaise, and you're going to want to make extra because you're not only going to use it on this, you're going to want to put it on everything. And we start, as we often do, with raw cashews. These have been soaked overnight and then rinsed, and this is going to give us that creamy texture for the mayo. Then we are adding water, and this can all be done in a NutriBullet, so it's super easy. The next thing we're adding is some salt, Snowflake brand salt from Mount Cecilia. We're adding 2 cloves of garlic. It's going to give it a lot of flavor. And this is key, apple cider vinegar, 2 teaspoons. And this recipe is at 40yov.com, so you can check it out there. And that's it. So we just have a handful of ingredients, and this is going to turn into a creamy, delicious mayo. Let's just blend it. Now, notice I didn't add oil, and most mayonnaise is eggs and oil, and that is just pure fat and cholesterol. No need to add it here. We're going to let it sit, and it's going to thicken as it sits while we make the tuna salad. Next is the tuna salad, and the thing that I'm trying to emulate is that fluffy, creamy tuna salad that you get in a deli. And so we're going to start with garbanzo beans, and you might think, well, how do garbanzo beans taste like tuna? Well, in and of themselves, they don't, but we're going to add a little salt. Our secret ingredient here is capers. This is going to give that briny taste of the ocean, and it's going to make it taste like tuna fish. Now, if you're someone who doesn't like capers, another alternative you have is to use a toasted nori sheet. And nori is that green sheet that you get when you make sushi. And if you crumble up a nori sheet, it's going to do the same thing. So sea vegetables and anything you get from the sea will give it the taste of the sea, give it the taste of tuna fish without the fish, and it's going to taste amazing. So we're going to mix this up in our food processor until it gets nice and blended. Once that's fully incorporated, now we're going to add our mayo, which has been sitting and getting thick. And I make more than I needed because I always like to make extra and then have leftover mayo for sandwiches or anything else that I want to use. So I'm going to use about half of what I made, and I'm going to pour it in here, and this is going to give it that fluffy, creamy texture of a deli-style tuna salad. So let's mix it up, and we might want to add a little bit more mayo depending on your taste. Oh, actually it's perfect as is, but if you like it with a little bit more mayo, you can always add it in. So the last thing we're going to add, to give it a little bit crunch, is some chopped celery. And this is sort of a blank slate recipe. You can add, if you wanted to, some relish, you can add some hot sauce if you wanted to give it a little heat. It's really up to you, but I'm going to put in the chopped celery, and I'm going to just fold this in by hand because I don't want the celery to get too chopped or too diced. So I'm just going to mix it up right here in the bowl. And I like the celery really chunky, but you can do it however you like. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways you can serve this. But what you're going to notice is just the creamy consistency of this. It's going to remind you of that true deli-style tuna salad. All right. And there's a couple ways we can serve this. So the first way is I like it open face on a really good piece of whole grain bread. And I mean, look at the grains in this bread. There is a party going on there because it's filled with fiber and seeds, and it's a thinner slice of bread too. So if you're someone who's trying to cut back on bread, I say don't get rid of the bread, just do an open face sandwich and get a thinner slice so you're getting more fiber and fewer calories. So I'm going to get in touch with my inner cafeteria lady, and I'm going to use an ice cream scoop for this sandwich. I'm just going to scoop it on the bread, and then the topper is I'm going to put a little bit of fresh ground black pepper, and one of my favorite toppings to add is this beautiful cress from Pete's Living Greens. I love this product for so many reasons. First of all, they're green and fresh, and it adds a nice peppery bite to the sandwich, and the root is still attached. You can see it right there. So these are fresh until you harvest them. These are hydroponically grown, so they use less water and less land than traditional growers. So it's something you can feel good about for yourself and for the environment. Now, for those of you who don't want to use bread, you can also just use it as a dip and use carrots, celery, or peppers, and you've got a delicious lunch that's portable. You can bring this to work. You can serve it anytime. This is one of my favorite lunches. I probably make this recipe more than any other. So that is our vegan deli-style tuna salad sandwich. You're gonna love it. And keep in mind, when you eat plant-based, the second half of life can be the best half of life. Join us next time on The 40-Year-Old Vegan.